just to make sure that we finish on time as well. I would like to welcome all to this webinar, the session today. And I believe that in many other sessions, we have already discussed the fact that at ITC, we were designing a new self-assessment tool that it's a benchmarking tool for hubs. So for those of you who know a little bit more about ITC, we do have a benchmarking tool for institutions in general. That has been working for many years and that is based on best practices and institutional strengthening. But in particular, what we have done here is we have adapted this tool that has worked for several years, as I mentioned, and we have turned it into something that is like a tool really specific for hubs management. So this is a tool for hubs managers to identify best practices, to evaluate like their own institution, and to identify those areas for improvement. So before I say too much, I would like to give the floor to Andre. Today, we will have him leading the session. Andre Maciel is the co-founder of Impact Hub in Brazil, and he has extensive experience on supporting impact-driven startups and micro-entrepreneurs from idea to scale. And over the past month, he has been working with ITC, with the Youth and Trade team, on developing and adapting this like self-assessment tool for entrepreneur supporting organizations for hubs. And he has also piloted this tool with some hubs already. So over to you, Andre, and we're like all very excited to show this tool. Thank you.
Thank you, Nuria. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you and ITC team for trusting me to help you develop this tool. It has been a pleasure to work with you on the past months. So I'm a fellow hub manager. I'm the co-founder of Impact Hub here in Brazil. And so it was good to develop this tool while being also the audience that we are looking for this tool. So today's webinar is focused on showcasing the tool itself. A disclaimer, this is a beta version of the tool. The tool will be launched soon enough within ITC platform, but we would like to have this larger hub managers audience using the tool as of now, so we can learn more about its usage, and also kick off providing you some valuable feedback and insights about your own organizations. We're gonna introduce the logic and the structure of the tool during the webinar, and we will also showcase a live example of how the tool works. And then in the end, hopefully we're gonna have time to answer your questions and to gather also your comments on the tool, okay? So before we start the presentation of the tool itself, I would like to ask Jenny, our colleague from ITC, to launch a poll because we would like to grasp your perspective, your thoughts on the main challenges you face while supporting entrepreneurs. So you might see in your screen right now this poll. Choose the questions, choose the options that better suits your main challenges supporting entrepreneurs. And let's see how we stand. People are voting, it's quite balanced. Half of us already voted. I'm curious to see the different range of challenges we have as hub managers. A few more moments and we are about to close the poll. Okay, I think we can close it. So half of us It's split it. Half of us has strategy and funds as the main challenges to overcome while supporting entrepreneurs. And then on the second place, we have talent and reach. So both are related, right? Reaching people. So one is reaching talent for our hubs, our team, so staff, mentors, managers, etc., and also reaching the right entrepreneurs um, to who are more relevant to our hubs or organizations. Actually, on the second place, we have knowledge, so having expertise and our methodology on supporting entrepreneurs. But I think strategy and funds are the key challenges we are facing. And yes, that's curious and that's interesting. And I think this tool might help us overcome those challenges. Um, so let's move on. I would like to showcase how this tool was structured and starting with this main objective. So the objective of this tool is actually, I think I need to close this. Could you see the results? I was talking, I don't know if you were looking at them.
Yeah, they should have been shared.
Okay.
No, they should be gone.
Okay, but that was interesting. We can share that with you later on also. Presenting the tool itself. So first, the objective is to support your work in improving your strategic positioning, effectiveness, efficiency, and impact. So the idea behind this tool is to support you better manage your hub. The method we used is actually a method that, as Nuria said in the beginning, that it's already in place within ITC other tools, other benchmarking tools, for example, for trade support. But the idea is that the tool provides you with insights and valuable feedback about the maturity and the health of your organization in 4 different areas. So we're going to look into leadership and direction, resources and processes, products and service delivery, and measurement and results. And this is how the tool is structured. So we have these 4 different areas. These areas are actually the same for other tools ITC uses for self-assessment and benchmarking tools. But then we did some work to tailor the themes of each of these areas to be more language appropriate and also more aligned to the context of hubs who are supporting entrepreneurs. So for example, within the area of product and service delivery, we have these 5 different themes: understanding customer needs, relevance of portfolio, client management, entrepreneur support, marketing, and promotion. And then moving on, we have to each one of those themes a set of measures. So for example, taking the measures of entrepreneur support, we want to measure the ability to reach, attract, and select adequate entrepreneurs, the quality of training and skill developments that you provide to those entrepreneurs, the ability to foster collaboration and meaningful connection amongst them, the ability to increase awareness and promote entrepreneurs' interests, so for policy making and for showcasing their successes. And finally, enabling entrepreneurs' business development. So we want to measure how your hub, we actually want you to measure how your own hub is dealing with these different aspects of your organization. And then for each of those measures, we have indicators. So we have those indicators, they are a set of questions that show how your organization is practicing, is performing on that specific measure. So if we take, for example, support on entrepreneurs development, how you're enabling the entrepreneurs development, this is one of the questions we're going to ask you to evaluate yourself. So this one is related to your ability to provide support for funding. And as you can see, you have 5 different options going for the weakest or the the worst practice, let's say, on supporting entrepreneurs to funding to the best practice on doing that. So each indicators will go from 0% to 100% related to the best practice that we have. So as you can see, it's quite in-depth analysis of a very large and comprehensive number of elements and aspects of your hub. To make it more clear, I would like to showcase some examples for each area. So for leadership and direction, the area leadership and direction will have these 5 different themes: purpose, mandate, governance, accountability, strategy, and stakeholder relations. So to make this a little bit more interactive, we're gonna launch another poll, so you can answer live here one of the questions we have, one of the indicators we have to measure how you're doing on this area of leadership and direction. Jenny, would you please launch the, yes. So you must now be looking at your screen. You can see one example question that we have for measuring your operation plans. So do your operation plans include measures and targets that support the strategic objectives and goals? And then you should choose the option that better represents your current status, your current performance on this indicator. I'll give you some time to do that. Don't worry, we are not going to review which one are each of you choosing, so it's going to be, it might be a sensitive information, right? So we're going to close the pool for now. This is just an example, and we're going to look at others, but you can test and see the kind of questions and the kind of evaluation you're going to have to do it yourself. So for this question, we had the majority of our group here within the 75% of the best practice. So most of you here, measures and targets are explicit and factored in all operation plans and are well aligned to support its strategy. So most of you are doing well. And some of you are doing the best practice that we have for operation plans. Moving on to the resources and processes, you can see that for this, let me close this poll. So the second area we have is resources and processes, and then we have different themes within that. We're going to do the same exercise again. So Jenny is going to showcase another question so we can evaluate the kind of questions we have while assessing our resources and processes. Jenny, here we go. So again, choose the option that better describes your hub situation. If you have enough income to cover your own operations and growth. So this might be, as our first poll, we were looking that funding might be big challenge for most of us. So probably on this indicator, we will not be, most of us won't be on the benchmark, on the best practice on that.
And maybe if I can add, Andre, I think what's interesting about this model is that we're not defining an organization just like by like one type of indicator or one type of like way of seeing the organization. So we are like actually like covering these 4 areas and all these like themes to have a balanced set of indicators that really give a better understanding of like where does the organization stand. So we know that like some organizations might be really good in like many areas, but they might be struggling with income. This will not mean that the organization is like weak overall, because if all the other practices, all the other processes are actually in place, an organization that has like no income or like very little income might still be within like best practice.
Perfect. Thank you, Nuria, for sharing that. And this is exactly what you're going to see and perceive while submitting your own self-assessment and later on our presentation. So as we predicted, most of us, if you can see the results of this second poll, most of us are not on the benchmark, on the best practice on income generation and income and financial resources. So we have most of us having enough income to cover operations, but not to growth. And I will guess that most of us are dealing with cutting costs and probably not compensating our teams as much as we would like to, in order to keep our operations within our financial resources. But this is just my my view on it. If you can see products and service delivery, we have the themes: understanding customer needs, portfolio relevance, client management, entrepreneurial support, marketing promotion, external communications. Again, I would like you to showcase to you another example of questions for this area specifically. So Jenny, the next poll. Here we go. So on this one, we are evaluating your ability to showcase entrepreneurship success. So choose the option that better describes your current practice. And a feedback I received from some hub managers that piloted this tool prior to our launch today was that by filling in and reflecting on those questions were already valuable, because they could look to aspects of their organizations that were not being looked, and sometimes we forget. This is one good example for me, that how important can be to celebrate our clients and our entrepreneur success. And this can retro feed a full cycle of value to all of us. So I think you grasped the idea. I'm gonna end the poll so you can see the results. So again, most of us are there in the middle. We have some space to celebrate successes, but we don't have a program in place to do that. And this might be something that we could think and plan and execute on our next planning cycle, right? I'm going to close this now. And the last area, measurement and results. Yes, so it's the same exercise. On this one, we're evaluating how your organization use the results to assess value for money or return of investment. I'll give you some time to choose the option that better describes your practice of your hub. and results and measurement. There is a say that if you don't measure, it's not important. So if we're not measuring our results, if we're not using these measurements, we need to take a deep look on that. And being a hub manager myself, sometimes we're so busy dealing with all the things we have to do on our operations that we forget the importance of measuring and using those results to our strategy. I'm going to close the poll. So this, I think, was the one that will have more, a different range of practices within our small sample here. But yes, so those exercises were just for you to take a look on the kind of questions and the kind of assessment that in the end, and this next slide will represent the complexity and how comprehensive is this assessment tool, because we have the 4 areas, a lot of themes, within those themes, a lot of measures, and within those measures, we have 115 indicators. So as Nuria was quite well pointing out, we gather a lot of indicators so we can have a broader and a big perspective on our performance as hubs. You want to comment on that, Nuria?
Just to mention that that it is a self-assessment, so you can take your time to do to go through this like 115 indicators, but precisely because of this, because of the balance of like the different areas and all the indicators, I think that it provides quite a good like overview of your institution. And I might add also that like usually institutions who have conducted the benchmarking assessment, not the one targeted for hubs, but the one that we've been doing for like several years, they mentioned that they discovered things from their organization that they didn't even know before. So just to add some comments to get people excited into trying the tool.
And actually the part that is more exciting is what comes next, because as a hub manager myself, sometimes I'm asked to fill in some forms and to provide feedback and to be part of ecosystem mapping that will ask a lot of questions about my organization, and I don't receive anything back. Sometimes I only receive a map of how my region ecosystem is dealing and who's who. It's different for this tool. So actually, by filling in and by evaluating those 115 indicators, you're going to receive, and we're going to go through an example of a report, a full report that will bring to you your score and on all the areas, all the themes, all the measurements for your organization. So this is the value that you can grasp by taking advantage of the self-assessment tool, because we're going to look deeper into this. I know that you cannot read my screen right now, just for you to have a look on how it feels. And that for me was one big highlight on developing this tool, because I'm sorry for that. While we were developing the tool, we asked for feedback from hub managers from different regions in the world. So they were piloting this tool. As I said before, this methodology is based on the ITC's benchmarking methodology. We adapt the language and for the context of entrepreneur supporting organization or hubs, and we piloted with different hubs. And at the time, we didn't have this beautiful report. So at the time, they didn't receive these graphs and the score that they had. But just by filling in the indicators, by filling in the survey, they could perceive value. And so this is quite interesting for me, and I deeply recommend you to fill in after we launch the tool and give you the link. So just giving an example for Gabriela. Gabriela is the acceleration manager of a program here in Brazil. She was one of the managers who were piloting this together with me. And this is what she wrote to me. I see the questions almost like a checklist. Going through the survey, I could see things with room for improvement and others that was not even considering. By looking at the options, I could realize what should be my next step to improve that aspect. So yes, you can look at this tool as a checklist. And I deeply recommend you to go through them. And later on, I'll also suggest some best practices on using the tool itself. But for now, because I'm minding of our time, I would like to showcase you one example. Just a disclaimer, as I said before, we are still on a beta version, so it's not finalized yet. We're going to finalize this tool soon, and will be available within the International Trade Center online platform. But as of now, you're going to receive a link. Let me just showcase it to you here. I'm going to still see my screen. You're going to see a link that will lead you to this form. So because it's a long questionnaire, as I said, it's going to take you about an hour to fill in all the indicators. Just because minding of our time within this webinar, I already started filling in my questionnaire here. So it's basically the same feeling that you had here with the polls we had. So we have different questions. You're going to mark the option that better describes your organization. You have a bar with the programs. Don't worry, we have 16 pages, but some of them we have only one question, like this last one here. So by the end of the questionnaire, we ask you for comments and suggestions about the survey. This is important for us because, as I said, we are in a beta version, and your feedback will be quite valuable for us to improve and to fix anything that it needs to be fixed before launching the official tool within International Trade Center platform. And then you're going to submit your questionnaire. Your response has been recorded. And the magic happens actually after you submit that. So after you submit, you just need to wait a few moments, and you're going to receive on your email an email just like this one, with a nice message from the ITC team. Thank you for completing the self-assessment for hubs. Please find attached your report. It brings also some information about International ITC's Youth and Trade Program. And in the annex, you have a brochure that brings potential solutions for the challenges you're facing. So it's a toolkit that ITC can provide you, supporting your organization to grow and to better function and to better support your entrepreneurs, and your report. So automatically, a few moments after you submit your form, you're going to receive this report. So I'm just going to download my report right now. Here we go. Open. And I'll take a few moments to showcase to you how this report looks as of now. So again, it's a beta version. It's gonna be, I think it's gonna look better once it's at the ITC platform. On the first page, you have your overall score. So this example, it's for my organization. I did it specifically, and I tried to ask to answer the indicators as better as I could. So on the first page, you have your overall score. My overall score was 67. And you have the score for each one of the 4 areas: leadership and direction, resource and processes, products and service delivery, and measurement of results. And you also have this nice graph, a spider web or rather graph that shows how balanced is your organization. So by taking a glance on this, I can see that my organization is stronger on leadership and direction, strategy and measurement, but we are lagging a little bit on products and service delivery, and also in resources and processes. And then moving on the report, don't worry, it looks like a lot, and it is, but if you go through step by step, it makes a lot of sense. So on the following pages, you will receive the scoring for each area and also for each theme and also for each measure you have. On these gauge graphs here, you can see how well your organization is doing for which of the themes within leadership in direction, for example, have mandate, common purpose, and recognition. So this is something very strong for my organization. But as you can see on my organization, we are lagging here on accountability. And if I go there and look why I have such a bad evaluation, I'm sorry, here we go, yes. Why I have such a bad evaluation on accountability. Here is it, I don't have an audit system in place. So my score on accountability and risk management was quite low. So even though I'm good on governance and strategy development and on my mandate and common purpose, I need to take care of these if I want to move on and evolve as a hub supporting organization, supporting entrepreneurs. Later on, we're going to look at the same structure, but then for resources and processes, you're going to have the score for each one of the themes. So we have structure and people, financial resources, information and knowledge management. I'm not going through all of them because it's a lot, and I think you should go through yourself. Then do yourself your own self-assessment. But I would like to suggest how you can see where you have room for improvement. So those graphs are actually quite well structured, so you can see exactly on which measure you were lagging. So, for example, on quality processes and value focus, for my organization, the results, delivery, and value are important for activities and project delivery. We are not taking a good care of this. So I can get back to my team and see how we are using the results we have for our activities and project delivery. Anyway, this is the general look of the report you're going to receive. As I said before, it's quite comprehensive, so don't be afraid of using it. I'm gonna get back to our presentation. That was right here. So this example was just to give you the feel, how it feels to submit the form and the email that you're going to receive with the report itself, and then some suggestions on how to use this tool. This tool, but the first suggestion is it's a very strong tool for analysis for your planning cycle. So as a preparation for your planning cycle, you could do a self-assessment and use the self-assessment to evaluate your health, your maturity on all those measures we have. You could also use this tool for team alignment. So if you have different managers, you can ask them to fill in the self-assessment separately and then compare their reports and see how aligned are them. And this is quite an insight I received also while piloting the tool last year, because one of the managers said, probably if I were, she was filling it by herself, and she said, probably if I was filling it with also my COO, she was the CEO, I'll have a different answer, because probably she will have a different perspective. So this is also something that you can use to bring team alignment, to see what gaps and what's the different visions you have for your organization. If you need a more accurate report, it's better to gather your team and fit it together. So do it with all your managers or your C-Lab, I don't know how you're structured. You could always redo the self-assessment so you can compare your results over time. So this might give you an indicator of how you're evolving as a hub. And soon you'll also be able to benchmark with peer organizations. Once we have enough data, we can showcase different hubs from different regions. What is the average score they have for each area and for each measurement? So this might be quite valuable for you also to understand how you're dealing with your competitors or with your peers within your region. And that was about it. I'm sorry if I was too quick, because I'm minding our time, and I would like us to have also time for answer some of your questions. And I'd like also to pass it on to Nuria again, so she can explain how ITC is going to use this tool.
Perfect. Thank you, Andre. And I've responded to one question on the chat, but like, please, if there's something that wasn't clear, if you have any other questions, just let us know. We will have like some time just now. And also we are always like open for like additional questions once you like test the benchmarking tool, and we are like happy to have like any discussions and to listen to any of your suggestions. Aligned to what like Andre was mentioning just now, like how to use this report. First of all, just like some additions also on how hubs can use this report. What we've seen also in with the institutions that have like used the benchmarking tool, let's say the original benchmarking tool, is that it has helped them also to ask for funding. So in some cases, it really helps to support your sorry your particular like let's say pitch, to just say what are the areas that you want to improve within the organization and why are you asking for funding for them. For example, if you're asking for some additional capacity building for your hub, or if you want to demonstrate what is your level of like performance, and if you want to engage in some sort of like improvement process with any donor, or like through any like other type of financial support. So this could be one area that helps. As I mentioned at the beginning, this particular tool, it's aimed at to improve the management of the hub. So we know that there are like other benchmarking tools in the landscape of like hub support. So we are quite aware that there are like other tools that might help hubs to assess themselves, especially in terms of the performance. So how many startups have you engaged? How many success cases do you have? And this type of indicators, we're not focusing on that. What we are focusing on is how are you organized within your organization, within your hub, in order to provide better services, in order to support the entrepreneurs, and also to make sure that there's like a sustainability for the organization. So just to make sure that you have like a clear idea of the positioning of this particular assessment tool. And then, yes, as mentioned also by Andre, like when you look at the 100% of the indicators, like at the last, let's say, indicator, you will see already the best practice. So not only you get the report with all the figures and the overall like result that you have, but if then you go back to your answers and you check at the 100% where you actually like mark, like for example 25 or 50%, you already get an idea of what do I need to do in order to get to best practice. So this is already like an indication of like where should you, or what should you be doing to get this best practice. So in terms of, yes, exactly. So this is the last indicator would be, or the last result, let's say, would be the 100%, and it goes from 0 to 100. So this already gives you an indication, and at the end of the evaluation, you do get like all the answers. So it's something that you can check after as well. So how will ITC use this tool? So our idea is that this will also be a tool to support us to help you better as hub managers. So it will help us to identify trends, what are the weak areas for most of the hubs, and therefore how can we organize capacity building sessions to support you on those areas. It will also allow us to identify best practices within hubs, and therefore like allow us to put you in touch in some cases with like hubs that are doing best practice in areas where you're like currently at a weak practice. And overall, like what we want to achieve with this is to really help us to also help you better, to have like all this data, to also provide it to you, and also guide our programs in a more, let's say, scientific way in this sense. So I think those were the main things that we wanted to present to you. Now we have exactly 15 minutes left for questions. So I would open the floor to anyone who wants to ask us a question. You can unmute yourself. We already have one question, which is excellent. So Richard, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you very much for this tool. I believe it's a very interesting initiative to keep modifying it and using it. And as an organization that works with other hubs through our programs, we find it quite useful and would definitely want to adapt it down the road. My question is, one of the things that we noticed when we tried doing an assessment of partners in one of our initiatives was that there are some things that matter more, largely when it comes to programs between different hubs. For instance, I might have a program focused more on gender inclusion, or I might have a program focused more on refugees. And I really want to rate my capacity to support an initiative focused on refugees or on women, yeah? And know where am I, where do I want to go? Has there been a provision made for such cases, such age cases where programs vary, and I want to know how I'm building capacities in those areas, either by sector or by target audience? Thank you.
Okay, so maybe I can take it, and Andre, if you want to add anything. So first of all, we do not provide like the specific details on like, as you mentioned, right? Like the evaluation of like programs aimed towards like refugees, or like the specific support to women entrepreneurs. But what we do is to analyze what do you have, if you have the skills and the processes within your organization to adapt your service portfolio to this specific target audience. For example, are you analyzing the needs of your target clients? Are you capturing all this information in let's say in a structured way, so it allows you to adapt your programs better? Do you have a strategy in terms of partnerships to understand like where are your gaps in terms of like knowledge within the organization, and where do you need to partner? Are you keeping track of these partnerships? Are you making the most of them? How do you evaluate if you have like a successful service or not? Are you changing something as a result of those evaluations? Do you have like key indicators that not only like give you information about the activities, but also about the outcomes and the impacts? So I mean, all these type of indicators will also give you the response of like, am I actually like ready, or is one organization ready to actually provide specific services like this? But Andrea, I don't know if you want to add something to this.
Yes, great. And there's just another something I would like to add is that we are minding also that different realities demands different products and services. So the tool is set in a way that we ask prior if your client, your entrepreneurs group need, for example, if infrastructure is something that it's valuable to them in order to have success or not. Because if it's not, because we have examples of accelerators, incubators that work only in the virtual environment. So infrastructure is not something that they would need to provide. So we separate questions that understand the customer need, and then we evaluate if you're providing that support on that need or not. So this is something that we reminded while creating the tool also. But thank you for your question, Richard. I think, I don't know your full name, but it's Valère was the second one to raise the hand.
Yeah, hello everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
my name is Linda. I am the executive director of the Fondation Jeunesse Numérique in Côte d'Ivoire, which translates into Digital Youth Foundation. It was created at the initiative of the ministry in charge of digital economy. So it's a bit of a special hub in the ecosystem because the ministry initiated it in order to help reduce the unemployment rate of young people by using the digital. So we are 5 years old now. We've been accompanying about 296 startups, projects, I would say, project holders. Not all of them became startups. And the big challenge that we have is that we are funded by organizations linked with the ministry, but we are an association. So we have the opportunity to be funded by anyone and to have also the private sector into our board. But we are facing the following challenge. Some investors don't want to invest in an organization that has some kind of relationship with the government. And some investors do want to fund organizations where the country is engaged, right? Somehow. I'm talking about some PTF. How do you say that in English? The partenaires techniques et financiers, World Bank, AFDB and stuff. African Development Bank, they would love when there is the government because their role is to fund government-led projects, But some actors don't want to put their money to something that is led by, not led actually, but initiated by the government. So basically, I would like to know if you would have some advice regarding this. Today, we work with the financial contributions from organizations linked with the ministry, but also we managed to secure funding from some development partners, of the type of GIZ, European Union, etc.
Okay, I won't be able to give specific advice on this issue, but the tool, you can use the tool to evaluate how well are you providing support for funding, and this might trigger the question, why? So the question, why am I able or not to provide funding, is something very important for you to ask. But then as a hub manager and dealing with investors, and this is also an indicator that we use within the tool, is how are you measuring the return of investment? So all investors, doesn't matter the kind of investor you have, is expecting return, being return as benefit, being return as a financial, being return, but they're all expecting return of their investment. So probably you should evaluate how well are you able to showcase, to measure and showcase the return of investment for those who are already investing, and then the others will follow.
Okay,
so,
yeah, I just wanted to add that what we're doing is that we are monitoring on a regular basis the number, the level of revenues, of course, the number of contracts, and also the number of employees, and some other indicators that we have. So we have a template, an assessment template that we share on a regular basis with the startups. So we do it twice a year in order to evaluate how they evolve. Some of
Good.
them, yeah. Go ahead.
Yes. So my advice would be to use the tool to see if there are other areas where you should look into and ask why are we underperforming or why are we performing well on different aspects.
Can you put the link to the tool again? I don't know if
We're gonna do it. Yeah. I just would like to also get Ken's question before we share
All
the
right.
link, because all of you are gonna go to fill up your form. We're gonna lose you, so that's why we left to the end, till the end,
Okay.
to showcase you the link. Thank you for your question, Ken.
Hi, Andre. Hi, Nuria and Jenny, everyone. Thanks for this nice tool. It's very, very useful and interesting. I would like to build on the question of Richard. I do believe that these days, they are at the international level, but also at local level, some critical issues that may, or that are also very relevant to herbs to consider. For example, inclusion and women development, to put those two. And maybe, is it possible in the leadership dimension of the tool to include an indicator relating to inclusion, diversity, or women? You can see how to take into account that, but globally speaking, inclusion, diversity, gender are important, and they are easily part of the leadership dimension. So maybe it is possible to consider that, just maybe adding one indicator, or I don't know, something like that. But it will be interesting so that herb can also be sensitized to the need to evaluate themselves against that indicator and to take into account that in their operation. Thanks.
Thank you a lot for your question. Nuria, I'm sorry, I saw you.
No, go ahead.
Unmuted yourself.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, we are looking into HR within resources and processes. So leadership and direction is more related to strategy. But definitely, I think this is something we should look into. As of now, we don't have a specific indicator measuring diversity. We do have indicators measuring how related our performance and indicators are with the SDGs. But not specifically with diversity and gender inclusion. And probably this is something that we should look into.
And actually, like as it was mentioned, this is the beta version. So once we have, just so you know, like we do have a benchmarking platform that is part of ITC's website, but this platform is getting updated, and we're like making it like more friendly for users and more like relevant for all the institutions that want to assess themselves. And once we have this last version of the platform, we have also included like some new indicators that will be also related to gender, to environmental concerns as well, to diversity and inclusion. So all those indicators will be also part of, let's say, a core set of indicators that we have in common with the traditional assessment tool and the tool that we have adapted for hubs. So it will mean like changes in like wording. It will mean like some small changes, but just to make sure that we also consider this dimension. So I agree, it's a very relevant question. We will take it into account, but since they're like the two, let's say, processes that are like happening in parallel, we hope that by October, November this year, we will have the complete like final version to present to you from ITC's website, and including those little like changes in the indicators. But for now, we hope that you enjoy also this beta version, and that it is already helpful for your hubs. And hopefully also, like if you have like relevant feedback like this one, we always welcome your comments. So thank you for that.
Thank you a lot, Ken. And being aware of time, we are moving for closing. I thank you a lot, all the questions and this exchange. And now, yes, now you can see the link. Jenny or Nuria can also post
did
it
it,
on the
yeah.
chat. Yes. So it's time. You can go there and access your hub, and hopefully you're gonna receive a report full of insights and full of paths to involve and to develop your organization and improve your impact. I would just like to thank you all for being here for this webinar. Nuria, again, thank you for the partnership and all the team from ITC.
Thank you, and thank you all who have like participated in this session. We hope that you found it like useful. I've also added the link here to the evaluation form for this webinar, so it helps us a lot to get your feedback, to see if like these sessions are like being relevant to you. What else would you like to be discussed in this like webinar session for hubs? So please do provide us your feedback, and we hope that this tool will help you to know your hub better and to improve your the management of your hub. And we hope to see you soon in the next session that, as usual, will be communicated also in our platforms and with the excellent support of Jenny as well. So yeah, I think it's time to go if there's no other question. But thank you again, and we wish you nice rest of the day.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.